name is Jerry at Jerry Wilkie FM. I'm here with my co-host Cody. What's going on, Cody?
Not too much. What about you? Ready for college football slate finally?
Yeah, ready for college football, and that's what this show is all about. Basically, the premise of the show is going to be kind of like a stock market for college football. On today's show, we're going to talk about some of the prospects that we're going to be seeing this week in week zero. Um, and then as the season goes on, we're going to basically follow along with all the most of the 2024 rookie draft prospects and just kind of like follow their season, follow their careers along, and get you prepped for your 2024 rookie draft. So we're not really getting too in depth about these guys, more so just getting you prepped for your 2024 rookie drafts in your dynasty leagues. Um, Obviously, we all know the Caleb Williams and the Drake Mays and stuff like that, but kind of just following along and see if we could find a diamond in the rough running back somewhere or that third round wide receiver that just pops up out of nowhere. So, yeah. So, Cody, do you have a favorite college team that you follow weekly?
I follow the LSU Tigers weekly, and I started watching them in the year 2000, so I'm not a bandwagon fan, I promise. But I've always just liked their colors and their look. I'm also a Vikings fan, so that probably explains it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this year because they Jaden Daniels is one that we will probably be talking about next week for sure because he's an interesting prospect, and Malik Neighbors also another one that we'll talk about next week as well. What about you?
I don't have a specific team per se. I mean, I do like LSU. I like basically all the wide receivers that came out of LSU. Big Justin Jefferson guy, big Jamar Chase guy. I
Yep.
was high on Terrace Marshall. Hopefully, he could turn it around. Um, Not really looking too good for him, but um, this year I'm kind of in on Florida State, and I think they're getting a little. I don't think they're getting enough love, especially when I'm seeing the talking heads and having like even their top eight, top 10 teams that could win the national championship, and I'm liking their value in to make the playoffs on betting apps and stuff like that. And I took their quarterback in a college fantasy league that I'm in, just a single season league, so not dynasty or anything. So took their quarterback in the college fantasy league that I'm in, and I'm targeting Jaheim Bell. Unfortunately, I didn't get him. Their utility tight end, and
Yep.
pretty sure we're gonna be talking about him a little bit too. And they actually face off in week one, two LSU and FSU. So that's gonna be a
Oh
fun
yeah, it's
game.
gonna be a good game. It's a rematch from last week one, and Florida State took that one.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
so
kind
it's
of Jordan Travis's coming out party. So
Yeah, so I'm excited to talk about them throughout the year. They got a few good names on that team that we should be seeing in the 2024 draft and that are going to be going in your rookie drafts. But let's get into week zero here. We got looks like there's nine, actually no, there's 10 games on the schedule. Couple about three FCS games and then seven FBS games. You got Navy at number 13 Notre Dame, and that's being played over in Dublin, Ireland. UTEP at Jacksonville State, UMass at New Mexico State, Ohio. That's not Ohio State, but Ohio at San Diego State University, Hawaii at Vanderbilt, San Jose State at number six USC, another exciting team there. Florida International at Louisiana Tech. So those are the FBS games. North Alabama at Mercer, Fordham at Albany, and Jackson State at South Carolina State. Um, outside of outside of the USC and San Jose State or the Notre Dame at Navy State, there's really not a lot of like early season guys that we're going to be talking about on today's show. Most of the guys that we're talking about are going to be from those show or from those couple teams there, including one of the Heisman favorites, Caleb Williams, quarterback for USC. So, um, why don't you kick it off with the first guy you want to talk about here from that we're going to be looking forward to seeing in week zero that starts this Saturday. I don't have the times in front of me, but it starts this Saturday.
I'm gonna go with one of the games that isn't really highlighted, and that's the Hawaii Vanderbilt game. And I'm gonna go with two guys from Vanderbilt that I really like. And first one is Will Shepard. He's a senior. He's also number 14, and I think that's a really good thing to call out. Is so then when you watch this game because you're so deprived of football, watch number 14, and you're going to be happy with what you see. He's just a little bit bigger of a receiver, and Vandy isn't really, or they are in the SEC, but they're not very good. But this guy stands out. He makes his bad quarterback better, and he could be a guy, especially if you have 5 rounds of rookie drafts next season. He could definitely be climbing into those ranks. Another guy from
Yeah,
Vandy.
no, that's a good one. I mean,
Go ahead.
yeah, there's gonna be guys from these smaller, not that Vandy's a smaller school, but there's gonna be guys that outside of like the ranked teams that you're gonna be looking out for, and some of these guys are gonna make a name for themselves. He's got over 100 reception in his 3 years at Vandy so far, seen going into his senior year. And I think he's poised to have a good season. Had 9 touchdowns last year. I think he's poised to have a good season, and like you said, we could be seeing him later in our rookie drafts, around like the round 4, round 5 of your rookie drafts if you have picks that late. So that's definitely a good option there.
And I say that because I think last offseason, I wish we would have started this last offseason because I was big on the tape from junior year of Zay Flowers. And I mean, look at what Zay Flowers did. He just kept rising up the ranks, and now he went in the first round of some drafts, and at least early second rounds in a lot of drafts, right? And there's just some guys on from smaller schools that just have it. They just didn't have the opportunity in college to really show out every week. I think Will Shepherd could be one of those guys.
And that's what we're looking to do. Because like I said, everybody knows the Drake Mays and the Caleb Williams and the guys like that. And you're going to be watching the Braylon Allens for Wisconsin every week, and the Travion Hendersons every week. But we want to find those guys, and of course, if you listen to other college podcasts or look up big boards, um, online and stuff like that, you're going to see like a lot of these smaller school names pop up in their top 300, top 350 or whatever. But we want to try to find them, not necessarily find them, but we want to try to get you guys to know them before the end of the season, and when everybody's in rookie draft hype and you're trading picks for a lot. You're trying to trade 4 picks for a lot more than what they cost right now. Maybe you could, like I said, maybe around week 8 or something of this year, you could trade for a 2024 second round pick because there's a guy that you've been keeping your eye on because of us, and you get it for pretty cheap because nobody's thinking about the 2024 draft halfway through the regular season and the NFL season. So that's what our goal is. That's what we're trying to do. You started to talk about another name, so I'll let you go onto that one. Who's the other name that you wanted to bring up?
Oh, the other name is actually he's not going to be coming out in drafts next year, but definitely keep your eye on him. Is Cedric Alexander, their running back? He's a freshman, and I almost guarantee that he'll start for him this year. So he's just one that we need to keep our eye out. There's not much tape on him yet, but some of those three star recruits hit, and he could also be one of them.
Yeah, another Vandy guy. So
Yeah.
like those options there. I'm gonna get in and basically like I don't want to ignore the big name guys, but
No,
because
we'll get
obviously
it.
we want to talk about them too. So Caleb Williams, if we can talk a little, or not even talk, but like mention, basically like what they're projected to go in your rookie drafts next year. We'll do that. So Caleb Williams in Superflex drafts, he's projected to go as of right now 101, 102. If you're looking at having a rough team this year in your dynasty leagues, or you're planning ahead and trying to get a quarterback for next year, and looking at 101, 102, you're looking at a guy like Caleb Williams. He's been getting comps to Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if I believe it, but those are the comps that I've been seeing and hearing. He can do pretty much it all. He had 42 passing touchdowns last year. He is one of the Heisman favorites for this year. He's got a nice trio of wide receivers, including guys like Dorian Singer and Mario Williams, that are also projected to go in the real NFL draft, and I'm sure they'll be coming off your rookie draft boards too. We'll see where they land in the real draft. And like for Caleb, looking, I mean, all signs are pointing to being an Arizona Cardinal next year, which obviously we'll talk about that as the season goes on and in the off season. We're not going to make any predictions on where these guys are going to go, but 6'1", 220. He's potentially the number one overall pick in the real NFL draft, about 101 to 102 in Superflex drafts, and 105 to 109, I'd say, in single quarterback drafts, just based on where I've seen the top quarterbacks go in recent single quarterback drafts that we've had in different dynasty leagues that I've had. But so he's definitely a guy. They're going to be on national TV. He's a guy that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. I'm going to watch him throughout the whole year. Obviously, I'm sure USC is going to be on TV a lot. So, and being that I'm on the East Coast and it's a West Coast team, I could get through my work day that I work on Sundays and then be able to come home and hopefully watch some USC football after 7 o'clock when I'm out of work.
Yeah, USC is going to get a lot of TV time this year, so there's going to be a lot of good names that are going to come out of there. One of the biggest transfers, I think, that came out and went to USC is Marshawn Lloyd, the running back.
Mhm.
I mean, he was highly touted in the 2020 recruiting process, and South Carolina finally took him, and then he got some injuries and stuff like that. But Marshawn Lloyd is going to have his stock rise for sure in a Lincoln Riley system. He's going to fit the bill perfectly. He has some nice hands, so Caleb Williams also going to finally get some screenplay. And then this might be the best running back that he's had while at USC and probably at Oklahoma as well. So I mean, it's just he's going to be good. And his stock right now is kind of flat because he had to transfer, but you're transferring to the best coach and probably the best quarterback in football this year, in college football this year. So that's only going to make your stock rise.
Yeah. There's I think next year's class is a little more. It's There's more quantity for running backs. This year, obviously, we had Bijan, a generational player coming out of this year's draft. But next year's draft, you have more guys that I think are going to be not as big of impacts as a Bijan Robinson or Jameer Gibbs, but there's more quantity. So like there's going to be multiple teams getting their hands on some of these guys and hopefully getting 3-4 good years out of them. And Lloyd could be one of them. One of my favorites doesn't play this week. He plays next week, so we'll talk about him on next week's show. But that's definitely a good one there. We'll switch over to the Notre Dame and Navy game. Couple guys that we got here from Notre Dame: Sam Hartman, the quarterback; Chris Tyree, the wide receiver. Anything you got on any of those guys?
Sam Hartman can make and break his draft stock with a good year here or a bad year here at Notre Dame. Coming from Wake Forest, obviously from ACC now to the independent, but mostly playing a lot of Big Ten schools and, well, Pac-10 until very soon. But Sam Hartman is a good quarterback, and his stock only has risen right now, especially in week 0, because he transferred from Wake Forest to Notre Dame. He's going to have better weapons, as we'll talk about him or one of them next. And yeah, I mean, Notre Dame quarterbacks in the past really haven't panned out yet, but they also haven't had that much of talent as Sam Hartman does. And that's why he transferred out of Wake Forest, because I don't think he felt that a lot of people were seeing him. So I'm really excited to see how he does and how he operates in that system. What are your thoughts on him?
No, I definitely agree. He's a guy that definitely keep your eyes on. Again, it's another class. It does have some top heavy guys up top. I already mentioned their names a couple times: Caleb Williams, Drake May. I think he's right around in the middle. Really has to have a good year. Maybe could raise his draft stock. And like I said, that's what we're here to do. Kind of follow along with them. But if you could land on a team, kind of like what Hendon Hooker did, where we're not expecting him to do anything this year or possibly even next year because Goff might get an extension. But if he could land on a team where he could be the heir apparent to a decent starting quarterback right now and learn under a veteran and not be thrown in there right away, and kind of ruin his career, I think that could be good for a guy like Sam Hartman and a lot of these middle quarterbacks that we just got to see him in this new system with Notre Dame on the field, and we'll get a chance to do that this Saturday when they're playing over in Ireland.
What about that wide receiver you have listed, Chris Tyree? Tell me about him a little bit.
He's a kind of like a utility guy. He's he's going to be mostly playing, I think, in the slot, but he is a like, and we've seen like a lot of transition recently in the real NFL draft with some of these smaller but shifty guys. Your Garrett Wilsons and your Jackson Smith and Jigba is a little bit bigger, um, but he's kind of like he's got a lot of rushing stats under his belt, and then he catches the ball. Obviously, he's a wide receiver, so he catches the ball too. So, just overall, he's going to be. I think he's going to be Sam Hartman's pretty much his top target. Um, Outside of they got a tight end there too. I don't have his name down here because I don't think he's draft eligible, um, but yeah, he's definitely gonna be a guy that we're gonna want to keep our eyes on. A guy that I think is gonna raise his stock. He might be kind of like the Will Shepherd from Vandy. He's gonna be a guy that just hopefully builds his stock as the year goes on. Notre Dame is always seems to be on TV, so we're going to be able to see a lot of him. Um, Definitely a guy to keep our eyes on.
So is he more? Is he taller and stockier, kind of like Debo Samuel, or like a Chase Claypool, or is he more like a Garrett Wilson or?
He's like a Gary Wilson. They got him listed at
Okay,
5'9", 188.
perfect. So yeah, I mean that's another thing too. Like, how many times does Notre Dame have that kind of offense and have that kind of weapon? They're pretty vanilla most of the time, and they're just kind of like we're classic college football. So something with a different dynamic and making this their own that can only help them, in my opinion. Maybe not for Notre Dame truthers, but for just all of college football, and they might actually be more enjoyable to watch sometimes.
I mean, they always seem to be somewhat enjoyable to watch. I mean, they got a big following,
Yeah.
so I got a lot of Notre Dame friends, so like I'm always kind of tuning in just to see what all the hype is about. But I think they're going to be a little bit more exciting this year, especially already talked about him, Sam Hartman coming over and kind of give him that not really a top five quarterback, but an upper echelon quarterback that should be able to help carry the team throughout the year.
Yeah.
Got any under the radar guys or any other guys from not these big two teams that we've talked about that you want to mention?
Yeah, I do. For I guess fantasy purposes, I think Tyron Smith, wide receiver out of UTEP, he's pretty good. I think he's a lot like Chris Tyree in some ways. He mostly plays in the slot, but I think he doesn't have very much receiving under his belt. But I think he could do it because of just how he operates and how I put down here that he's a curl specialist. I mean, he can eat up some zone defenses in that way. Again, I also put down his jersey number as number 1. So if you do watch that game for UTEP, just watch number 1 and watch how he operates down the field. Last year, he had 71 receptions, 1,039 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And again, it's kind of one of those, yeah, it's middle of the road, but in college fantasy, he's a gold mine, and he might sneak in onto a team. He could get drafted 5th or 7th round in the actual draft, and most of the time, if they're drafted, they're worth a draft pick in your leagues as long as you have 5 rounds. Because the first 3 rounds, you kind of fill that out with first rounders to fourth rounders if you really like some guys. After that, you can just run some flyers of like, I like this guy more, but he went undrafted, so I'll probably take this guy, and I think he's in that range right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you had
Another
you said you
guy
had
that
another
I
guy here.
really like is Sam Wigluss from Ohio. He actually transferred from Ohio State, so I think Ohio is just really good at getting some of these transfers like that. I mean, he kind of just fell behind how many good receivers, right? Olave, Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. For a 3-star wide receiver, he was never going to make the field.
No.
But at Ohio, he's definitely the best player on the field. Now, can his quarterback get to him? Well, last year that it did happen. He also had 73 receptions with 877 yards and 11 touchdowns. So I would say he's in the realm of like the Hunter Renfro. He's just kind of always there. He knows how to play the game of football, and that probably gets you drafted. He's going to go to the Senior Bowl and he's going to start wowing some people, in my opinion.
Yeah, these are definitely some good guys to watch. I'm trying to pull up the schedule here, so just to kind of give you guys an idea of like what channels and what times these guys are on.
Yeah, Notre Dame's on early because of Ireland, but so that's
I
a
had to
good game
close
to
some
start
windows
out.
because it was delaying my computer, so I'm trying to get it all up on my phone here. So yeah, you got Navy and Notre Dame are playing at. So these are all on Saturday at Saturday 8/26, August 26th. You got Notre Dame versus Navy at 2:30. You can watch UTEP in Jacksonville at 5:30. That's going to be on CBS Sports. So if you got that or access to that, you can watch Sam Wigler's at Ohio San Diego State on FS1. So these are all channels that, I mean, they could be part of your cable package or in your how you stream games. So definitely be able to take a look at some of these guys. San Jose State at USC is on the Pac-10 network. So that I think I mentioned that they were going to be nationally televised, but they're not. So if you had, you'd have to have that network to watch them. Notre Dame is going to be on NBC like they always are, but so definitely got some options there. On ESPN, you're going to have UMass at New Mexico State. So I mean, one way or another, you're going to be able to watch a couple of these guys play and a couple of these teams play and see if somebody pops up out of nowhere. And I don't want to go on without. I think I already mentioned their names, but I want to talk a little bit about them if we can. Dorian Singer and Mario Williams, because these are guys that are going to be closer to the top of your fantasy drafts next year. Dorian Singer could be a first round guy in your fantasy drafts next year. Mario Williams, maybe second, early third. But you are, I mean, Singer transferred over from Arizona. He's just a not really a beast of a man, but he falls into that Garrett Wilson kind of category, 6'1", 185, so smaller frame body, but he just gets open. His last year at Arizona, he had 66 receptions for 100 or 1,105 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's coming over to play with the Heisman hopeful Caleb Williams here. He should be Caleb's favorite target. And I think he's gonna be all over the field. He's gonna be one of the just going to be one of the top guys for one of the top quarterbacks in the country. And when you got a connection like that, it's going to be fun to watch. I don't know how much he could actually rise up. I mean, I don't think he's going to be in the Marvin Harrison Jr. range, but he could definitely rise into the top 8, top 10 of your rookie draft picks. And if he's looking really good, if he's a guy that is just all over the field and just catching everything in sight. He might be a guy that if you aren't getting towards the early end of your draft, a guy that you could target in the mid to late rounds or mid to late section of the first round and hopefully have a nice wide receiver of the future for you. So Dorian Singer, one of the wide receivers. Do you have anything on Mario Williams, the other wide receiver?
I didn't look him up, so unfortunately I didn't. But he's still a guy that I would definitely. I mean, I've seen some clips of him and stuff. So I mean, he's going to be good again. But yeah, I think they brought in Singer for that reason that you were saying. Like they just needed another guy that can just always guarantee to get open. But again, like Mario Williams, yeah, I'm gonna be trying to trade up to try to get him if he's one of the last ones in that little tier. He's still in that tier with Singer for sure. And I
Yep.
think he's going to kind of get forgotten, kind of like Emeka Egbuka with Ohio State, right? It's like
Yep.
he's probably just as good as Marvin Harrison, but Marvin Harrison has the name recognition and he's just showed out last year. Mario Williams has an easier way to do that because not everyone knows who Dorian Singer is. So they're going to say, yeah, Mario Williams is the guy. So he has an easier road, in my opinion. But yeah, he's going to be good.
Yeah, they're gonna be. It's This is gonna be a fun offense to watch.
Yeah.
They are currently listed on a website that I don't follow them religiously for my rankings, but I do kind of check in to see where they're listed at the time. So right now, as it stands right now, Singer is the number 8 wide receiver of all the draft eligible wide receivers, and Mario Williams is number 12. So they're both up there. Obviously, you got your Marvin Harrison Jr. and your Xavier Worthy, Malik Neighbors that we're going to be talking about, Johnny Wilson that we're going to be talking about. Those two go up against each other next week, Neighbors and Wilson. But got Singer coming in right behind them. Mario Williams kind of at the edge of the rookie wide receiver ones. Basically, if you want to break it down like that, if you're going wide receiver 1 through 12, Mario Williams is right there at number 12. So we'll see if their stocks rise or fall throughout the year. So again, this isn't really going to be the format of the show throughout the year. We're going to talk more about what happened as the season goes on, as opposed to what to look out for. Now we'll mention guys throughout the year, pretty much every episode on who we're going to be keeping our eyes on for that upcoming week when our next shows come out. But next week we'll be talking about how we thought these guys did, if their stock risen or fell after the 1 week, and we're not going to be dramatic about it. We're not going to have Caleb Williams has a mediocre game. We're not going to drop him all the way down to 5 or whatever. Um, but yeah, we're going to be. That's basically what the premise of this show is, and we want to kind of just get you guys ready for the 2024 rookie draft, and if it's a hit, and if it's a success, then we'll keep this going for the 2025 draft, 2026 draft, and just kind of keep it going. So, Cody, you got anything that you wanna end us with?
If you're in a league with me, Caleb Williams isn't that good, so I can draft him later, please. No, you can
All
catch me
right,
on Twitter
that's
at Cody Folden as well. And yeah, we'll see you back here next week, Jerry.
yeah. Let's have a good week 0 of the college football league. If you're watching some preseason, you got some games going on this weekend too. The final week of preseason, then we got some cuts for the NFL. So that those are going to be exciting, and not exciting to see people lose their jobs, but it's going to be exciting to see teams trim down to 53 men who are going to try to go in and try to win a Super Bowl this year. So we're getting close to the regular season. We're right there for the college regular season. And we'll catch you guys next week for the prospect prep.